Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 15, Aragon. Summer was creeping over the grounds around the castle. Sky and lake alike turned periwinkle blue, and flowers large as cabbages burst into bloom in the greenhouses. But with no Hagrid visible from the castle windows, skirting the ground with Fang at his heels, the scene didn't look right to Harry. No better, in fact, than the inside of the castle, where things were so horribly wrong. Harry and Ron had tried to visit Hermione, but visitors were now barred from the hospital wing. "We're taking no more chances," Madame Pomfrey told them, severely through a crack in the infirmary door. "No, I'm sorry. There's every chance the attacks might come back to finish the people off." With Dumbledore gone, fear had spread as never before, so that the sun-warming castle walls outside seemed to stop at a million windows. They were barely a face to be seen in the school that didn't look worried and tense. And my laughter that rang through the corridors sounded shrill and unnatural and was quickly stiffed. Harry constantly repeated Dumbledore's final word to himself. "I will only truly have left the school when no one here are loyal to me. Help will be always given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it." But the good were this word. Who exactly were they supposed to ask for help, when everyone was just as confused, as scared as they were? Hagrid's hints about the spiders were far easier to understand. The trouble was there didn't seem to be a single spider left in the castle to follow. Harry looked everywhere he went, helped by Ron. They were hampered, of course, by the fact that they weren't allowed to wander off on their own, but had to move around the castle in a pack with the other Gryffindors. Most of their fellow students seemed glad that they were being shepherded from class to class by teachers, but Harry found it very irksome. One person, however, seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the atmosphere of terror and suspicion. Draco Malfoy was turning around the school as though he had just been appointed head boy. Harry didn't realize what he was so pleased about until the potion letters. About 2 weeks after Dumbledore and Hagrid had left, when sitting right behind Malfoy, Harry overheard him gloating to Crabbe and Goyle. "I always thought Father might be one to get rid of Dumbledore," he said, not troubling to keep his voice down. "I told you he thinks Dumbledore's the worst headmaster the school ever had. Maybe we'll get a decent headmaster now. Someone who won't want the Chamber of Secrets closed. McGonagall won't last long. She's only filling in." Snape swooped past Harry, making no comment about Hermione's empty seat and cauldron. "Sir," said Malfoy loudly, "Sir, why don't you apply for the headmaster's job?" No, Malfoy," said Snape, though he couldn't suppress thin-lipped smile. Professor Dumbledore has only been suspended by the governors. I dare say he'll be back with us soon enough." "Yeah, right," said Malfoy, smickering. "I expect you have father's vote, sir. If you wanted to apply for the job, I'll tell father you're the best teacher he saw." Snape snickered as he swept off around the dungeon, fortunately not spotting Seamus Finnegan, who was pretending to vomit into his cauldron. "I'm quite surprised the Mudbloods haven't all packed their bags by now," Malfoy went on. "Bet you 5 gallons the next one dies. Pity it wasn't Granger." The bell rang at the moment, which, as Lucky and Malfoy last heard, Ron had slept off his door. In the stumble to collect bags and books, the attempt to reach Malfoy went unnoticed. "Let me at him," Ron growled when Harry and Dean hung onto his arm. "I don't care. I don't need my wand. I'm going to kill him with my bare hand." "Hurry up. I've got to take you all to herbology," barked Snape over the class's heads. And off they marched, with Harry, Ron, and Dean bringing up the rear. Ron still trying to get loose. It was only safe to let go him when Snape had seen them out of the castle, and they were making their way across the vegetable patch toward the greenhouse. The herbology class was speedily stopped. There was now 2 missing from their number, Justin and Hermione. Professor Sprout set them all to work, pruning the absence surface. Harry went to tip an armful of withered stalks onto the compass heap and found himself face to face with Ernie Macmillan. Ernie took a deep breath and said, very firmly, "I just want to say, Harry, that I'm sorry I ever suspected you. I know you'd never attack Hermione Granger, and I apologize for all the stuff I said. We're all in the same boat now, and well," he held the a podgy hand, and Harry shook it. Ernie and his friend Hannah came to work at the same shivers as Harry and Ron. "The Draco Malfoy character," said Ernie, breaking off that now. He seems very pleased about all this, don't you? Do you know, I think he might be the Slytherins here." "That's clever of you," said Ron, who didn't seem to have forgiven Ernie as readily as Harry. "Do you think Malfoy, Harry?" Ernie said. "No," said Harry, so firmly that Ernie and Hannah stared. A second later, Harry spotted something. Several large spiders were scuttling over the ground on the other side of the glass, moving in an unnaturally straight line as though taking the shortest route to a permanent meeting. Harry hit Ron over the head with his purring shorts. "Ouch, what are you?" Harry pointed out the spiders, following their progress with her eyes screwed up against the sun. "Oh yes," said Ron, trying and failing to look pleased. but we cannot follow up against the sun." "Oh, yeah," said Ron, trying and failing. Ernie and Hannah was listening curiously. Harry's eyes, as he focused on the spiders, if they pursued their fixed course, there could be no doubt about where they would end up. And like they're heading for the Forbidden Forest. And Ron looked even unhappier about that. At the end of the lesson, Professor Sprout escorted the class to their Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson. Harry and Ron lagged behind the others so they could talk out of earshot. "We'll have to use the invisibility cloak again," Harry told Ron. "We can take Fang with us. He used to go into the forest with Hagrid. He might be some help." "Right," said Ron, who was trailing his wand nervously in his fingers. Aren't they supposed to be where the back of Lockhart's classroom?" Preferring not to answer that question, Harry said, "There are good things in there too. The centaurs are all right, and the unicorns." Ron had never been into the Forbidden Forest before. Harry had entered in only once and had hoped never to do so again. Lockhart bounded into his classroom, and the class stared at him. Every other teacher in place was glimmering than usual, but Lockhart appeared nothing short about the buoyant. "Come now," he cried, beaming around him. "Why are there long faces?" People swept in separated looks, but no one answered. "Don't you people realize," said Lockhart, speaking slowly, as though they were all a bit dim, "the danger had passed. The couplet has been taken away." "Says who?" said Dean Thomas Ledley. "My dear young man, the Ministers of Magic wouldn't have taken Hagrid if he hadn't been 100% sure that he was guilty," said Lockhart, in the tone of someone explaining that 1 and 1 made 2. "Oh, yes, he would," said Ron, even more loudly than Dean. "I flatter myself I know a touch more about Hagrid's arrest than you, Mr. Weasley," said Lockhart in a self-satisfaction tone. Ron started to say that he didn't think so, somehow but stopped in mid-sentence when Harry kicked him hard under the desk. "We warned you, remember?" Harry muttered. But Lockhart, disgusting churlish, his hint that he had all business was now at the end, irritated Harry so much that he yearned to throw Gaddings with goals right in Lockhart's stupid face. Instead, he contented himself with scrawling a note to Ron. "Let's do this tonight." Ron read the message, swallowed hard, and looked sideways at the empty seat usually filled by Hermione. The sight seemed to stiffen his resolve, and he nodded.